Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Evan Here's Culture campaign, and today I have just an incredible guest on the show. She is an actor. She is a YouTube makeup guru. She's a pinball fiend.
Oh my God,
Aria
yes,
Middleman.
thank you. Hello, the Evan Here's Culture
And the
campaign.
first-
It is an honor.
Oh, thank you. The first guest on the show to have a musical name.
Oh my God, yeah. It's more on the classical side, which I don't know if you're listening to any Mozart these days.
You
That'd
know
be kind
what?
of a funny addition.
Mozart it doesn't have any 2010 albums from the 2010s. No
Such a
popular
shame.
stuff,
Such a
which is
shame.
unfortunate.
Truly.
But we're going to be talking today about a band that does have an incredible album of the 2010s. It's Paramore's 2017 album, After Laughter, which you're a big Paramore fan, Aria.
Oh my God, yeah. Evan, I know you know that, like, personally. We've talked about it before. I just, like, grew up listening to Paramore. But After Laughter, I listened to for the first time, and, like, because it's so different from, like, all of their other stuff, you know, my first inclination was, like, to not like it. So I, like, listened to it, and then I didn't listen to it for a while. But then when I, like, came back to it, I was like, oh my God. Like, there's so much more here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Ugh.
I mean, you know, coming in as myself, not being necessarily a huge Paramore fan, you know, I didn't really know enough about the old stuff. So when this album starts and Hard Times comes in, and there's a marimba, I think, in the first 10 seconds, I'm like, oh, I'm on board. This is
Oh my God, I know.
I understand
Yeah, their intros are.
how that might be viewed as a betrayal to the old sound in some.
I know. Oh my God. Because the older stuff is so much, like, harder. I was literally playing Paramore for my mom today, and she actually likes it. So I'm like, what? Because I come from a very, like, classical household. Cue the name, Aria. But yeah, their older stuff is a lot harder rock. So this album, I feel like, is, like, so different in that way.
Yeah, and it's weird because, yeah, they're kind of trying to distance themselves from some of the older stuff with
Oh, yeah.
with Misery Business and
Oh, I know, yeah.
So how did you discover Paramore, Aria, before we even get
Do you want to know the story? It's not a story. Okay, so we grow up and we're watching True Jackson VP, right? Ashley Argota was like such strange how I discovered Paramore. Ashley Argota was like True Jackson's best friend on that show, and I was like, oh my God, I love her. So I was like following her on social media. This must have been like, I must have been maybe like 13. I'm 22 now, so like 9 years ago. And I like was looking at her on socials, and at the time, pre-quarantine, 9 years pre-quarantine, she was on a boat doing a cover of That's What You Get, karaoke style. And I really liked the song, and I was like, damn, that's kind of catchy. Like, even when she was singing it. So I looked it up and I listened to that song, and I was like, what have I been missing? So I bought the song on iTunes Music. And then quickly thereafter, and that's from Riot, that album. So that was the album that I first heard of and that introduced me to it. But back then Spotify wasn't a thing. So I pretty much got to know only like a couple songs because that's all I could afford with my $1.29 per song.
I have to say, Aria, this True Jackson story is not that odd because my first experience with Paramore was that I believe, I might be misremembering this, but I think they used to run The Only Exception music video on Teen Nick.
Oh, really?
I think so. I'm not positive. I definitely saw the music video on TV, and then I didn't think anything of it. I was like, this is all right.
It's really an iconic music video. Although I know we're supposed to be talking about After Laughter, but I like
talking about the getting into.
Oh my God, I know.
This album has a cool story behind.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Of you know, the band that you loved, Aria, the Paramore that you knew, kept falling apart.
Such a lie. I know, it's such a lie.
Until finally coming back to do this comeback album. So that was sort of a comeback album. You heard the album for the first time and you didn't like it, or you were confused by it, or what was the?
I mean, it's just, you know, too, everyone who's listened to it, it's so different, you know, from so much of their other music. I'm really into like grunge and emo music as well, stuff that has like a lot of guitar, a lot of drums, like steady beat. And while a lot of the songs on the album have that, it's also just like produced very much with like electronics. Like a lot of the sounds that they use are virtually made. So I guess I was just like thrown off by that. But I just, like a fine wine, it aged very well and it grew on me. So now we're here today and I'm like fully obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah, I love 80s pop. So I love that synth sort of sound.
Yeah.
Coming into this, I was so on board, and I was like, there's something odd about this album coming in, with the marimba and whatnot. On Hard Times. And then the second
marimba, that's the only thing you need to know about the album, pretty much.
And the second track, Rose Colored Boy, my favorite song on the album, which starts with the sort of background vocals going, low key, no pressure, just come with me in my weather. And I was sitting there and I was like, this sounds like Tom Tom Club. This sounds like Genius of Love, which I've been listening to a lot with the "What You Gonna Do When You Get Out of Jail."
It does. I think that's why I maybe didn't like it I'm not such a huge fan of 80s. I grew up in this classical household, so all of my musical education outside of classical music I've had to do myself. Like, right. I didn't ever have parents giving me the Beatles or Nirvana or Led Zeppelin to listen to. Like, I had to discover that all on my own, whereas a lot of parents did enjoy rock music, and considering Paramore stemmed from the rock genre, that also includes disco, 80s pop, yada yada yada, which I think is why I wasn't inclined to like the album at first. But it's so complicated. Are we going to be able to talk about the meaning behind the lyrics?
We can. Okay. I just want to say real quick that on Spotify, the Paramore artist page has an After Laughter Influences playlist, which is fantastic.
Really? Do you know any of the name drops on that?
Well,
on that list?
There was Genius of Love by Tom Tom Club. So I looked at that.
Okay, iconic.
I can't actually spot an influence. But yes, the meaning of the lyrics. We've got a good 12 songs, a little over 40 minutes.
Yeah.
What is it about, Aria?
I've been wanting to talk about this all day because I think what Hayley Williams is just so astounding, because her depression is pretty much hiding in plain sight. The whole album is about depression and how she lives in the limelight and she's not able to go out in front of everyone and say, hey, everyone, I'm depressed. Like, she's not going to have an Amanda Bynes breakdown, So she's coping with these feelings through her music, and she talks about that in her songs and needing to maintain this happy facade. Like, Fake Happy is just like, when you listen to the lyrics, it's just like the most emo thing you're ever gonna hear ever. There's like a lyric that says, like, if I smile with my teeth, bet you believe me. If I smile with my teeth, I think I believe me. Like, when you like process that, and so many of the other lines, it's just like, even though they're so up tempo and in major key, like, these songs aren't fooling anyone.
The instrumentals, you'd be like, oh, what a fun album, and then you go to the lyrics, and it's not buried in there necessarily, but like,
isn't that so funny? It's ironic in that way.
Just let me cry a little
bit longer.
And
yes.
And the big hit Hard Times is all about challenges in life, and it's so
fun fact.
Yeah,
that was the first song I've ever sang karaoke. Like, I've only done karaoke one time, and it was to Hard Times by Paramore. So if that doesn't show my dedication, Evan, what will?
Rose Colored Boy, Fake Happy.
What are some of your favorite tracks?
Those are probably just I just named them.
Can I talk about a song that I feel like
about every song,
Okay. So the song Pool, which I thought was named Dive, when I was talking about it earlier, it's named Pool. Is one of the lyrics in that, it like, what is so fascinating to me, especially about that song, also about Fake Happy, they're so, like you were saying, just so peppy and so poppy on surface value. But one of the lyrics is like, I'm underwater, no air in my lungs, my eyes are open, and I'm giving up. Like, girl, I want to hug you. It's so depressing, but it's hiding from you, just like Hayley Williams is, I feel like, because, I mean, she's a celebrity and she can't just, like, be moping around like people would be worried about her. Like the whole Free Britney movement, it would be like Free Hayley.
Yeah, and also, you know, Hayley Williams is great, but everybody else in the band, you know, which has been a real revolving door over the years, but everybody else on the After Laughter lineup is great, of, you know, Taylor York and Zach Farrow, yes?
I would not be the person to ask. Honestly, I gotta be honest here, my obsession revolves around Hayley Williams. I just gotta say, I just love her solo stuff. Yeah, and considering I have like tunnel vision for her. Like all of the rest of them are just like hanging out, they're in the music videos, but when it comes to Hayley, like she's the only one who speaks to me. That's why I love her solo stuff too.
Yeah, to throw a critique out, Aria, and I'm interested whether you agree with this. I think this album is very well paced at the beginning in terms of spacing out the singles and, you know, some of the, you know, other tracks, I don't know, the not singles. And then right at the very end, I think it starts to taper off and lose a little bit of that energy going into the like last four three songs.
Yeah, I would agree, actually. What I did for the first time today was actually listening to the album on shuffle, which I don't really like to do, just because I feel like when you get into Pink Floyd, when you get into the Beatles, there are so many intentional transitions between every single song. One feeds right into the next.
Like the Abbey Road medley.
Yes, exactly. Billie Eilish does the same exact thing. Her songs are very intentionally in place.
New Music Thursday.
Yes! Yes! So anyway, I agree with you there. I feel like maybe she could have solved that had she put some of those like peppier songs towards the end. But I think that also shows her range. Like I was talking to my mom, like her, like she being able to sing and have Paramore change genres so easily and do all of them so well is masterful. Hayley Williams said that this was like Paramore's best album. She did say that. And, you know,
I want to hear, what's your take on that claim?
Well, here, I don't know when you started listening to Paramore, but Riot, because I told you, Ashley Argota, True Jackson VP, introduced me to Paramore through Riot and the songs in that album, which came out in 2005. So definitely one of the older albums, definitely not the oldest, but I feel like for me, that just holds such a nostalgic place in my heart that I honestly like can't listen around that. Like whenever it comes on, I'm like, oh, a bop. Yes, like I'm always in the mood to listen to it. However, I think that you know, with Misery Business and what's the other one? The Only Exception.
Yeah.
That one. I mean, you know that it was written about her ex-husband, right? So she like Haley tweeted recently. She was like, "What Paramore song is your favorite song?" And she like wrote a list of 5, and she was like, "Everything except The Only Exception," which I thought was so funny because like it's a love song about her ex-husband, you know. So
pre-divorce or post?
Post, or it was written pre-divorce. It'd be a little weird to write a love song post-divorce. I don't know about you. Unless you're still fucking. I mean, am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And I think with that, it might be the note to. Do you have any plugs, Aria? Anything coming up that you're excited about?
You mean in my own personal life,
yeah.
Like my artistic life? Well, I do have a YouTube channel. I don't do any music on there. However, I've been like noodling around. Over there, I have like a guitar and a violin over here because, like I said, I grew up with music, and I just have this idea of like, I don't know, like just noodling violin parts. And you know how when you have like a split screen of like four screens of the same person playing different instruments to one song? Like I might do that. So if you want to go look me up on YouTube, you can just search my name, Aria Middleman.
Aria Middleman.
There you go. And then my Instagram is at Untitled Aria Project. You should go give me a follow, everyone.
Thank you for coming on, Aria.
Thank you, Evan. This was so fun. I love talking about Paramore and was delighted when you thought of me. So I could share my True Jackson story.